Good morning, everyone. Okay. Seeing all three commissioners present, I will call to order the November 13th, 2025 meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. I will ask Nellie Jimenez to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Okay, so we've got a long meeting. Sorry, I stunned you. We've got a long meeting today. We'll try to get through it as quickly as we can, but a lot of important topics to cover. I'll just start by saying I wanted to recap last week's municipal election. We had an extraordinary turnout for an odd year, perhaps the highest on record as far as we can go back, which is that 50% registered voters in Montgomery County cast a ballot. That is worthy of a whoop, please. Give it up for the voters in Montgomery County, and also, of course, our voter services staff who have made it easier than ever to access the ballot, whether you're voting by mail, in person at one of our sites, or at the polls. And we already got a glimpse that this was going to be a high turnout election when we saw the mail-in numbers coming in. So more than 90,000 people voted by mail. That was another record total for an odd year election. And to put that in perspective, there were just 85,000 applications for mail-in ballots, which you get a portion of those, I think 80% back usually. And so we've far exceeded all of our records. I think 4 years ago, it was about 225,000 voters. This year it's about 310,000 voters. So big jump in turnout, which really shows that people appreciate that local power matters, whether they're voting for school board or townships or paying attention to the judicial races in the Commonwealth and the state Supreme Court, especially at a time where we are experiencing, during the election, the federal government shutdown and a state government with no budget, which I'll talk about in a second. It showed that voters appreciate their vote at the local level and what it means. And so thanks again to the voter services team, our 428 judges of elections, 2,412 poll workers, the 226 student poll workers, and of course Frank Dean for leading the operation. So another topic, Small Business Saturday. Speaking of thinking local, you're probably all thinking about your holiday gift giving starting now. It's almost Thanksgiving, and it seems like the Black Friday sales start earlier. You're getting all the emails already. I just want to encourage folks to think about Small Business Saturday, November 30th, and local businesses here in Montgomery County. We'll share this through our comms team and give you some ideas on our socials, but it's always great to get a gift locally to support our local economy and small businesses. So on the state budget, we'll have more comments on this, but I'll just say it's good to know that we can continue to serve our communities in the way we have been. And I'm very thankful that our team has been able to run the county's finances in such a way that our services were not impacted in Montgomery County, and that's something we can be proud of. Unfortunately, there were counties where they had to cut services, and thankfully the state budget, has been passed. It's, not a dramatic change from last year. There's an earned income tax credit, which will be a great help to about 1 billion families across the Commonwealth. But we still got to fight for funding mass transit and SEPTA, and also addressing housing affordability. That whole home repairs bill, which passed a number of years ago and in bipartisan fashion was not included in this bill, and that's something that I hope to advocate for next year, as well as public transit funding. And finally, for my comments, this is our last meeting before Thanksgiving, so we wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. There's much to be thankful for in Montgomery County, and we have a lot of residents who are doing incredible work to support others throughout the county in need. Last Thanksgiving, I was at Upper Marion Community Covered, where they give out thousands of turkeys. We, of course, as a county, invested over $500,000 directly in food for our food pantries. There's about 70 food pantries across the county at a time when staff benefits have been in question, and long term, there have been adjustments and they'll be cut, but we'll have to do everything we can locally at a time when it's unclear the level of support we're getting federally. So I'm thankful for all of our partners with the Montco Anti-Hunger Network, Community Covered, and many other food pantries that are supporting families, especially during Thanksgiving. So with that, I'll turn over comments to Commissioner Wyman.
Great. Thanks, Commissioner Makisha. How's everyone doing this morning? Mr. Morgan, did I see you at the American Delivery last week? I did. I saw you in the crowd. So thank you for being there. Last week, I had the honor of welcoming Pennsylvania's First Lady, Lori Shapiro, to Montgomery County Community College for a special evening screening a documentary that's close to my heart. American Delivery is about the experience of women and healthcare workers around the world and here in the United States. I was grateful to share the movie with a packed audience. I think we had over 300 people there, including Mr. Morgan, so thank you. And to host an inspiring panel discussion with experts and advocates, including the filmmakers Carolyn Jones and Lisa Frank, State Representative Morgan Cephas, and representatives from the Maternity Care Coalition, Penn Medicine, Life Cycle Wellness and Birth Centers, and Cherry Gregg from WHYY. American women of color still experience high rates of maternal mortality. And so that's why events like this are so important, so we can address why this happens and explore how to improve outcomes for moms and babies. This evening of storytelling and discussion brought home the realities of our strained healthcare system and offered powerful inspiration on the possibilities of how we build networks and communities for new parents who are bringing beautiful babies into the world. So I want to thank everyone who came, and to my amazing team for helping us pull this event off. Something else that has brought me a lot of hope and inspiration over the last 2 weeks is how the community has come together to fill in the SNAP funding gap brought by the federal government in action. As a county, we've stepped up and directly funded $500,000 to the Montco Anti-Hunger Network, working quickly to feed our friends and neighbors. And this is how government should work to support those in need. And so we've seen countless local businesses offer support through meals and food collection efforts, along with many local organizations and community leaders. So I want to thank everyone who has stepped up in this moment, whether you gave supplies, offer a meal, or donations at this time. That's what Mr. Rogers oftentimes talked about, look for the helpers, and we've seen a lot of helpers over the last couple of weeks. If you'd like to help, there's still need. I want to remind you that our winter collection drive is still going on. Our emergency food drive runs through December 31st, and we're collecting non-perishable foods such as cereal, oatmeal, and canned meals. Drop-off locations are available via our website, and our website also has details about our winter coat drive, holiday toy drive, and our Thanksgiving food drive. So thanks to all that have stepped up in this time. We know that Thanksgiving is just a couple of weeks away, and I just did a turkey in disguise project with my 5-year-old. Does anybody know what that actually is? Megan knows what that is. So you basically have to, they send home a turkey and then you have to disguise it as something. So Max, Kevin, and I did our turkey in disguise project, which is due on Friday, and we disguised our turkey as a bucket of popcorn. So it's really It's really cute. So, but November is a time for me to reflect on the work that we've been tasked to do. And every day I see the work our employees are doing in public safety, food security, immigrant support. You all are doing the real work and amazing work, and I'm grateful to have such great colleagues across the county. And although we are sitting here on the dais as commissioners, we are just simply here to represent you, to carry your stories and make sure people know the difference that all of our county employees and community are making every day. So in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I want to extend my gratitude to our teams and all the residents of Montgomery County. This is a great community, and I'm proud to be part of it. That's it for me.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I can't believe we're already almost halfway through November. I'm still trying to figure out what happened for October. Time is flying. But as we know, this past week was Veterans Day, November 11th. Actually, Veterans it's not just November is just not Veterans Day, but it's Veterans Month. So let's not pass up the chance to continue to recognize all our veterans throughout the month of November and beyond. I always like to promote the fact that we should be recognizing, thanking, and appreciating our veterans every day of every month of every year. We're glad to raise the flag again this year at the courthouse. It was a great attendance. We had many veterans there. We had a lot of our state representatives were there. Some of our county elected officials. It was a good, cool fall day, but we did raise the flag, and we did only go to half mast because of Vice President McCain passing away. Or not McCain. Jamie. It's been a long week. So we all know that we owe our veterans a ton, and please, as I said, make sure that we thank them. Saturday before Thanksgiving is observed each year as National Adoption Day. It's a great opportunity to encourage adoption in our community and honor the families who have welcomed an adopted child into their homes. Next Friday, the County Court's Orphans Court Administration and Office of Children and Youth will be celebrating the adoption of 5 local children from foster care. There are so many children that need a loving family. So if you have the means and the heart, please consider being an adopted parent. So we're really proud to work with our dedicated team in OCY and our Orphans Court. We attended the event last year, and just watching the joy in the 5 families that adopted these kids was just a great honor to be part of. Also, yesterday, I don't know if you all saw on the news or not, but the last penny went into production. I had the opportunity. I was invited down to the Mint by Treasurer Beach, and I got to basically participate in all the day's activities surrounding. They brought 5 penny blanks, they called the blanks, and they brought them to the press. And we went through 1 penny at a time, making the last penny of our lifetime and beyond. Believe it or not, I mean, this is a very important for everyone to know. Pennies aren't going away. They still will be used for many, many years. Believe it or not, that there's over 300 billion pennies out there somewhere. Maybe in a piggy bank in a drawer in your house. I'm sure we see pennies along the street all the time. So next time you see that penny on the street when you're walking by or on the sidewalk, pick it up, because that's one of 300 billion pennies that are out there in circulation. But it was actually fun to be part of history, and I got the opportunity to hold the last penny that will be made. So it was actually a fun day. And then finally, I have the honor of introducing our Way to Go winners for the month of November. Maybe we could see them up on the board there. Fortunately, none of them were able to make it here today. They're very busy at work. I can't imagine why they wouldn't want to be at a commissioners meeting, but we're grateful for everything that they do. Our county employees are recognized for their by their peers for their outstanding work. So we want to congratulate our list of November Way to Go winners, Monco winners. That's all I got.
Thank you. So what's gonna happen to Lincoln? See, he needs a new coin.
Well, maybe, you never know, maybe we'll move to something else. Maybe we'll invent a 3-cent penny, I don't know.
All right, so next we will move on. We're gonna hear from our recorder of deeds on Veterans Resource Fair, on the fair. Come on.
Thank you so much. Commissioners, I want to thank you so much for giving me this time. I'll let you know that I have wrote a note to myself to slow down because I do speak fast. But hopefully if I speed up, you'll just ignore the speed and just catch up with me. I want to especially thank you for having me here this month as we celebrate veterans. It's a very special time in the Recorder of Deeds office. Not only is the Recorder of Deeds doesn't just do deeds. In the 1850s, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania gave us the great honor of recording veterans' discharge papers. These documents not only show military service, but they also prove what benefits the veteran and the veteran's family deserve. This is why it is so very important that veterans get these documents recorded. Okay. To encourage veterans to record these papers, we have a very popular Veterans Discount ID program. Over 650 businesses in Montgomery County participate, giving discounts all year round, not just in November. Any business who would like to celebrate our veterans are welcome to join at no charge. But let's be honest, the veterans are not the only ones who benefit from this program. We happen to love seeing our veterans at these. This particular picture is at our last Veterans Resource Fair in October, and that is Kathy. She is from the Women's War Memorial Arlington Cemetery, and she is there to sign up women veterans. She's always got lots of great information there. I love talking with her and all the other veterans. We're also very lucky in Monco to have so many World War II veterans with us, hitting that century mark this decade, like our very own Bobby Shantz, Army veteran from Ambler. However, with this age came a little bit of an issue with veterans' documents in Pennsylvania. So I was very happy to be able to work with Representative Joe Webster and his amazing team to get past House Bill 269, which will protect veterans' documents and veterans' privacy much longer than what we had. It's also time for I'm sorry. I'm so sorry here. I forgot that Veterans Month is not over. I'm so sorry. We have a number of events still coming up this month and the rest of this year for veterans to come to. Some are Veterans Discount ID card events and some are our breakfasts. We invite veterans to go to our website and find them. And we also, as you can see from this picture, love it when veterans bring us pictures from when they first went into service. I often say they look like babies with some of those first pictures when they're 18 or 17 going into service. They're absolutely wonderful. I enjoy it when we see those from our veterans. It's also time for our very successful holiday drive for the Veterans Multi-Service Center. The Veterans Multi-Service Center works with veterans in the region. They're again requesting small toiletries, hats, shirts, gloves, and laundry pods, etc. People can drop those off at my office, or what has become very popular, and we very much encourage, is people order them online and have these items actually shipped straight to my office. It makes it so much easier for everybody. We absolutely love it. Encourage people if they would like to do it that way. We also have many organizations and businesses that will help us with the collection drops. If you have a business or organization or an office and you'd like to be a drop spot, please just let us know. We'll make sure you're part of that list. And you can see from these pictures, the one over there on the left, This was last year's delivery to the Veterans Multi-Service Center. It completely filled my minivan, which is one of the larger size minivans out there, seats down, completely packed, and one of the county SUVs. We're so delighted to bring all those things, and the generosity in this county is just astounding towards our veterans. It really makes us feel wonderful to be able to deliver that from all the donors in Montgomery County. So if you would like to donate or be a drop point, please let us know. We also have a brand new initiative this year. You can call it our Passion Project. Each year, with our veteran services, we go to many veterans monuments throughout the county, honoring our veterans, and we thought other people would like to know about them. So with a huge thanks to Leanne Pettit from my office, who conceived and designed a Montgomery County Veterans Trail. This is kind of what it looks like, and I want to give another huge shout out and thanks to the great people at the print shop who worked with us to create not your ordinary little trifold, but this beautiful piece here, absolutely gorgeous. You can pick it up in my office. Diana will be distributing one to everyone up there. And it gives you, it's a list of all the veterans monuments in the county, so that you can take your fall visit. You're out there looking at the trees this fall. Go take a ride through it and visit some of our monuments. It's very meaningful. You don't have to get a paper copy though. We do have an interactive map online. Scan that there and you can go straight to it. If you would like a copy, we will also have copies in the back here and in my office. Again, we love November because we get to reconnect with so many of our veterans. So I thank you so much for giving me a small moment of time to tell you what we've been working on.
Thank you so much for your work and for your office's work. Any questions or anything? Thank you.
Was that slowed down?
I'm sorry. I do have a joke. Many of you know I grew up in Minnesota, and each year Minnesotans are rated as the fastest talkers in the country. So that and growing up on the largest helium deposit in the entire country, you get there. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Great information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really
Great.
cool.
Okay, are there any public comments relating to today's votes?
David Morgan?
Morning, Commissioners. I'm David Morgan from Ambler, and if you turn to page 3 of your agenda, B9, that topic is the hydro project exploration. Initial looking at that, and it's $400,000 of our money being spent, proposed to be spent, and then we have already had $600,000. I wonder if the $600,000 spent is showing this as a hopeful project that would be the county to do it. Perhaps the county should consider a private corporation doing this because of the way costs can mount over years. And also the page 5, Justice Center, the top of the page, there's Skidmore, Owings and Merrill. Looks like it's going to go from 31 to 33 million dollars. There's 2 million there. And it seems that the design keeps going in a cycle onward for this project and mounting. And the project, as I mentioned, has historically been capped at about 450 million. And I did produce for Commissioner DeBello a newspaper article about that from the Reporter. And so are we on track? We had one presentation in the spring, and we haven't had any follow-up on this center overview and all the county campus between among all the buildings, this building across the street, the traditional courthouse, and all of these that we know, transparent views of how they're designed and how much more is to be spent. And then I think we need also, in terms of today's budget talk and all the spending, time to respond to the fact that the federal government just reopened and the state government has just had a solution. So how, I wonder our finance department chair how he's doing with all this quick change that's happened. Maybe we might need another meeting, maybe at the end of November, to really know what's going on in terms of reimbursements and all that. Also, we could look into walking down the highest regional salaries in the area, maybe putting them down a percentage point or something like that. A 401k plan was mentioned by the speaker Vince last meeting for new employees instead of a pension. State the actual percent increase when the presentation is done. Sometimes we get a middle difference lately. Is it for line A of your tax bill coming in spring for the county? Is it going to change from our recent 13% hike to a 9.69% hike to what percent? So that would really be good to know as citizens, to know the percent increase in our tax bill coming this spring of 2026. And last thing I would like to say is that Commissioner Bella had a packet in front of him. Looks like it's perhaps a printout, looks like the traditional writing. So I'm not sure if that's available today for us to see the capital budget and the conventional budget in writing today. Is that available at the table or anywhere?
We all have the same stuff.
We have,
No, we all have the same.
okay.
I just usually have a computer, but I had technical difficulties this morning.
I look forward.
We'll have copies. Any other comments? Thank you.
No, that's not.
Okay. All right, moving on to approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the October 23rd, 2025 minutes of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, the minutes are approved. Okay, next we're going to hear about the advertisement of the proposed 2026 budget. We'll hear from Dean Nortone, our CFO, as well as Stephanie Tipton, our Deputy COO.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Stephanie Tipton, Deputy Chief Operating Officer. I'm joined by Dean Dortone, our Chief Financial Officer, and today we are here to present Montgomery County's proposed 2026 budget. So let's start with a quick overview of our budget process. This budget is the result of months of collaboration across departments with a constant focus on how every dollar is spent and how we can best serve the residents of Montgomery County, especially in these challenging times. And after today's presentation, there will be opportunities for public feedback. We encourage everyone to participate in the upcoming budget hearings, which will be held on December 4th at either 10 a.m. or 5:30 p.m., and at the Board of Commissioners meeting on December 18th, where the board will take its final vote on the proposed budget. And for those who want to dig deeper, the full proposed budget details are available online at montgomerycountypa.gov/finance. And we invite you to review the budget book and all the supporting materials. So, Montgomery County, as I think many of us know, is truly a community of choice. We are a growing, vibrant county. We're home to people of all backgrounds, experiences, and socioeconomic levels. More people are choosing to live and work here than in any other Collier County. Over the past 15 years, our population has grown by 7.1%, matching Chester County and outpacing Philadelphia, Bucks, and Delaware counties. Today, we have the largest population outside of Philadelphia, over 879,000 residents, and projections show we will reach nearly 943,000 residents by 2050. Our community is diverse and highly educated. 55.4% of our residents hold a bachelor's degree or higher, and about 100,000 residents were born outside of the U.S. Employment is also growing at nearly 1% per year, faster than population growth. Next slide, please. But we also know that many households in Montgomery County are feeling the impact of rising costs, just as the county is. The average household income is a little over $106,000, and the average home price has reached a little over $556,000, an increase of 21.8% from last year. It's not just housing costs that are rising. Healthcare and utilities are more expensive, and these changes affect all of us, residents and local government alike. Homelessness is also on the rise, with a 14% increase in unhoused individuals from the previous year. We recognize these challenges, and as we work through the budget, we are focused on balancing fiscal responsibility with the need to support Monco communities. Next slide, please. As costs rise, so does the demand for county services. For example, in recent years, we've seen the number of individuals receiving behavioral health services and homelessness assistance increased by 58%. And as a county, we've stepped up to meet these growing challenges head on, ensuring our friends and neighbors receive the support they deserve during these challenging times. Next slide, please. So most people, when they think about their taxes, don't realize that the largest share goes to the federal and state government. The average Montgomery County homeowner pays just over $8,000 in property taxes, but only $936, just about 12%, goes to the county. Despite this limited share, the county does a lot, and we're doing even more every year, which we'll talk more about later on in the presentation, despite limited options for generating new revenue. You can go to the next slide, and I'll hand it over to Dean to talk about the numbers.
Stephanie, before Dean jumps, as he's walking up to the mic, the one slide that the growing demands, I think it's important to point out, you mentioned about I think you said the 11% increase in the 911 calls.
Yes.
I want to, a lot of that funding, 911, basically comes from the phone bills, or cell phone bills, or all phone bills, right? So there's basically a 911 tax incorporated into the bill.
Right.
What we need to understand is that our 911 costs are growing, but the actual funding that we're getting from the state isn't. So as a county, we're forced to provide the difference, to cover their growing expenses. And then when you talk about 11% increase in 911 calls, that translates to a high number. So I know Dean's going to talk about at one point about the unfunded mandates that the state loves to put onto counties, and that this is just one of them where the actual monies that we're receiving from the state doesn't cover the 911 expenses.
Yeah, it's a great point.
That's an interesting slide. Most property owners probably don't realize that 75% of their real estate taxes that are paid go to school district services. But I'm going to talk to you about the 12% today. Next slide. So I'm going to start off by going over where we are in our projections. Typically, at this time of year, we've got at least 9 months of actuals that are booked and closed out. So we feel comfortable about where our revenue and expenses are. And, I've been reporting out throughout the year about some of the trends, and many of them have continued and will, and they're in the forecast. The good news is that, we came into this budget year, 2025, projecting a deficit of about 16 million. However, better performance on the revenue side, combination on the expense side too. You can see that we're projecting about 13.8 million of new revenue over the budget, and then expenses are projected about 2 million higher. Some of the numbers that are embedded in the higher expense are grant-funded services, so higher grant revenue in the 13.8, and then some higher expense. But all in all, instead of the budgeted deficit of about 16 million, we're projecting an actual deficit of about 4 million, which is good news because the plan was that we were going to draw down on unassigned fund balance to fund that budget gap. But based on these budget projections here, it's looking like our drawdown will be in the $4 million range. Next slide, please. So I'm going to turn to the 2026 proposed budget, and it has been a challenging budget. We knew that coming into this year. We started out very early in the season, in the spring. Our departments all evaluated their budgets for cost containment opportunities, which many have been implemented or are in this proposed budget that we've put forward. But some of the main cost drivers, and some of these are things that are unavoidable. One of the biggest cost drivers is obviously in personnel costs. You can see that 19 million. I will point out, healthcare, right? We've experienced double-digit increases from healthcare. Most of it's driven by the cost of healthcare, providing the services besides utilization. So that has been a challenge in the last 18 to 24 months, but we've taken some steps to contained some of that, and I'll explain that in the slides ahead. Our debt service for the capital improvement plan, as you know, we had a new money bond issue that we completed this year. The fund capital plan, we still have about 90 million of bond proceeds that will carry over into the new year. That'll be used to continue to fund the plan, but we have about 3.6 million of new debt service that's embedded in the 26 budget that was anticipated. Some of the newer costs in our housing priorities and supportive housing, about 5.3 million to support that major initiative. Much of that has begun this year. It's partially funded by other funding sources at the moment, and next year it will be included in the full 2026 budget with some offsets. But this next number is really the more compelling number, and you know, we have contractual costs that, you know, these are contracts, multi-year contracts that are in place, and they have inflationary cost increases, besides the normal cost, you know, inflationary cost increases that you would expect, whether it's in utilities or fuels or things like that, food. So we have that, and we're experiencing in it. A good example of that is, you know, with our correctional facility, we you know, are mandated to provide medical services for the inmates. That's a multi-year contract that alone adds about $500,000 of new expense in the 26 budget. That's unavoidable. And again, unfunded state and federal mandates. Commissioner DeBella made a good point on, you know, about the 911 fund. In past years, the revenues that came in were sufficient to cover the expenses. Some years we had to subsidize from the general fund, but at the moment, it appears that, you know, the way the fees are set up, the structure at the state level, it's not going to support our expenses ongoing, and there will be a general fund subsidy in the years ahead. Next slide, please. So we're going to talk in more detail about how the budget is balanced for 26 as it's been proposed, but, you know, just high level, very simple, right? We talked about cost containment. That's been ongoing throughout this year. Many of the initiatives that the departments put forward have been implemented and will, you know, carry forward to 2026. That's a piece of it. We will need new revenue to balance the budget. And then we're also, as we have done in the past, and it's consistent with our budgetary practices, the utilization of unassigned fund balance at a certain level. That'll give us a balanced budget in 2026. So just a bit of a recap. When we started earlier in the year, and, you know, when you model out, you know, in the first quarter of the year, you don't have a lot of experience on your revenue or expenditure side of, you know, what's really going on. But you make some assumptions, and we did that. And early in the year, we were projecting a deficit of about 55.9 million. But moving forward, as we implemented different strategies and renegotiated contracts, we're able to achieve about 14 million in operating savings. We're going to be using about 12 million of restricted fund balance for certain expenses, and then unrestricted fund balance as well. We have some revenue performance and improvement in certain categories. As you know, we're limited with general fund revenues. About 54% of it comes from real estate tax revenue, but we do have a few smaller categories that are increasing, and that's a good sign. So, you know, with all that, it leaves us with a deficit of about 25.5 million before we do anything. Talked about some of the cost containment strategies and things that have been implemented. So, you know, reducing that deficit, you know, included benefit cost reductions, healthcare and other benefit cost reductions. In this number is, you know, probably about 1.4 million of renegotiated prescription plan savings that we were able to achieve going out to the market on a multi-year contract that was negotiated this year and will be implemented as of January 1st, 2026. So that's a savings. But on top of that, we still have the cost increases from, you know, healthcare in general for the services. Operating costs, we've been able to achieve savings in various areas. So with that, you know, we have some specific things that, you know, I'll note here that are clearly great opportunities for us. One of them is, our workers' comp claim management. We take care of that in-house with our solicitor's office. They do a great job. We're able to save about $800,000 in the budget in 2026 because of the claim experience has been excellent in the last couple of years. So it's things like that that add to the budget and help us reduce the deficit. We're also proposing in the budget to eliminate 11 full-time equivalent positions in various departments. That's going to achieve about 700,000. And then legal fee reductions. This is almost $500,000, as you know. Our solicitor's office handles a lot of the legal work in-house now for us. So we're able to reduce the budget by almost $500,000 there. So these all have helped us to achieve almost $14 million in savings on a budget-to-budget basis. Next slide. So, before we do anything, without adding any new revenue, the projected overall revenues for the general fund are about $670 million. And then you see the expense side, 632. That leaves us with a deficit of about 25.5 million. The proposal that we're putting forward is to close that gap. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to raise the millage rate to 5.462, the real estate tax millage rate. That will generate an estimated $12 million in net new revenue. And then, consistent with what we have done in the past, on a budgetary basis, we would plan a drawdown of unassigned fund balance of about 13.5 million. That's lower than the number we had planned for in the 2025 budget. If everything works out and the numbers at the end of the year, 26, come in the way we project, our remaining fund balance reserves that are unassigned will be about 141 million. That's 23% of the overall revenue in the budget. It's above our fund balance policy range, which is 18 to 20%, but I'll note that 23% is well below what a AAA rated community is across the country. The median's in the 34, 35% range. So this is an area that Moody's is always looking at. We manage well with the fund balance policy, and we've managed our fund balance really well over the last 4 or 5 years. Next slide. So how would this impact the average single-family dwelling or property? It's approximately an increase of $36 a year from 2005 to 2006. And this is an average single-family dwelling with a market value of about $560,000. However, the assessed value is really what the millage is applied to. So really, the assessed value is about 171 million, or 171,000. So that assessed value goes back to 1998 when the county last reassessed. So there is a factor that converts at the market, and that's what a typical market value would be in the county. Next slide, please. So with the new revenue added, we're projecting about 619 million overall revenue. That, when you look at this pie chart here, about 54% of it's coming from real estate tax revenue, and then another 34% from grant revenue. The grant revenue is primarily offset by mandatory expenses, health and human services, things like that on the expense side. Then a very small piece, departmental fees, earnings, is spread out across the organization. I will say on that point, a number of our row offices and departments have proposed fee increases. Some have already been implemented in this quarter and will carry over to next year, and they're embedded in the budget as proposed. Next slide, please. On the expense side, you can see the overall breakdown by our major functional areas. Health and human services, as I noted, with the grant funding being about 34%, that's one of our larger expenses in the general fund at 37%. Most of their expenses covered by grant funding, but there is a county match through all the HHS offices. One thing I would note here, debt service at 11.6%. That is, has been noted by Moody's, and that percentage of our overall budget is a little bit lower than, what other AAAs are, so that's a really good benchmark for us. It's been consistent in recent years. And you can see, our judicial system, which is the second highest expense, is about 18%. That's everything in the courts, related to the courts.
That includes the DA's office, the judicial, correct? Where is that?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just a little bit confusing, because public safety seems much smaller, but it's actually,
What's that?
public safety is much more than 2%, right?
Oh, yeah, public safety, yeah.
Right.
So remember, public safety, 911 is its own fund, so public safety is just the other departments there, like the administration and so forth. Okay, so, I'm gonna turn to the 5-year capital plan now. And as proposed, just give me a second here, catching up. The capital improvement program for 2026 is projected at about $256 million. You can see the way that we fund this plan. It's primarily funded through bond proceeds. However, federal and state grant, that's probably about $44 million, I think, of the overall budget here. And, we typically leverage the federal and state grant funding on capital projects. We have some projects that are being 100% funded and, others that have a small county match. And a lot of it is in roads and bridges, but we also have it, within our trail projects and so forth. So I will note here, though, as I mentioned earlier, we have about $90 million in bond proceeds on hand, which is going to carry over and will fund the capital plan at least through, the first, 5 to 6 months. And then, we'll prepare for another bond issue later in the year. Next slide, please. So what you're seeing here is just the expenses by major program area. The county campus plan is primarily the Justice Center project, which, has been ongoing. We'll be moving into, the completion of phase 2 this year, and then phase 3 will begin in 2026. Next year. And that's embedded into the 5-year plan and the 26 budget. In assets and infrastructure, this is comprised of roads and bridges, parks, all those roll up into asset and infrastructure. So that's why you see a higher percentage here on the asset and infrastructure side. Next slide, please. So just, turning to the 26 plan, these are two of the major projects that are in 2026 budget. The Justice Center, as I mentioned, there'll be the completion of the phase 2 and then commencement of phase 3. There's about $54 million programmed into 2026. And then for the 5-year period for the Justice Center, it's about $190 million on a budget basis. The library, which is a really exciting project that, we're hoping will get underway in Q1 of next year, Q2 timeframe. We have roughly about $39 million programmed in for that construction to begin. And that's for 26 over the 5-year, which will just be, 26, 27 to complete it. It's roughly about $59.4 million. And that does not include any other funding sources that might come about. We have some grant applications in that could change, the funding of this project overall. Next slide, please. So the Roads and Bridges program, which is a big component of the capital plan, just a little history, back in 17 when the commissioners implemented the $5 vehicle registration fee. At that time, the county's 131 bridges, we had many distressed bridges, a lot of them closed, and, we've come a long way. And we did have that dedicated funding source, the $5 fee, to cover debt service on bond issues, which covered all the expense on these projects. We continue with the program, but, it's shrinking as each year goes on. However, we do have it built in to the capital plan, and there's been many successes here for the money that's been invested over the last 5 to 6 years. Open space and parks, big piece of the capital budget. You'll see in the planning section of the details in the capital budget, some of the individual projects. We have the Trail Junction Center project that's underway, and a lot of nice additions to the whole park system. And, it's interesting when you look at that slide, the 75%, the 12 and the 12, not everybody knows, that the trails, the open space, is it municipal or is it county, right? So we're responsible for all that. That's under the county umbrella, and is part of our 12% or 12 cents. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to transition to the community college. Next slide, please. So the county, back in 2017, established a dedicated millage rate to fund the community college. The county has provided funding to the community college way back when, right? And basically, the Pennsylvania Community College Act of 1963 provides guidance on the shared responsibility of a community college and how it should be funded. And what it states is that the state provides funding, the local sponsors like ourselves, and then tuition and fees, which is the student side of it. When you look at the act, it was always anticipated or recommended that the funding should be a third, and a third. This is how it looks today, based on 2025 funding for the community college. You can see that 56% of their funding comes from tuition. The 20% is our local match, and then the 24% is what the state is providing. So it's not quite a third, and we're not near, the state level 24%. So what's being proposed, and this rate has remained unchanged since it was established in 2017. We're proposing to increase the millage rate to 0.49 mils from 0.39. That would generate about $6.2 million of new revenue dedicated for the community college. So their budget would be approximately $30 million of funding from Montgomery County. This would increase the average single-family dwelling property bill by about $17 a year, 25 to 26. But the most important thing is that it's going to provide stable tuition for the community college students for the next 3 years. The community college, with the additional funding, as long as the state maintains their level or more, will be able to keep the tuition rates at levels that they're experiencing now. Next slide, please. All right, so with that, I'm going to turn it back to Stephanie, and I'm happy to come back up and answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Dean. Now I have the opportunity to highlight the parts of the budget that embody, I think, what matters the most to us, some of our strategic investments that are proposed for FY26. The investments I'm about to spotlight advance the county's strategic pillars, and most importantly, are a direct reflection of our shared values and aspirations for Montgomery County's future. Next slide. So we are committed to building livable and sustainable neighborhoods where families can thrive and communities can flourish. Next slide. So for example, our investments in the proposed budget include supporting our housing blueprint, which are strategies to improve affordable housing. We're especially focused on short-term transitional housing and helping our friends and neighbors who need it most. We're providing grants to municipalities to help create connected communities. And we're investing, as Dean mentioned, in our parks and trails, which saw over 3 million visitors last year. Next slide. Also focused on policies that support working families and pioneer opportunities that set standards for the region and Commonwealth. Through the Montco Main Streets program, we're creating economic opportunities across the county. We're exploring renewable energy sources, as you heard today, like the Norristown Dam hydroelectric project. And as you heard, we're also investing in the community college to make sure that our entire community has the opportunity to affordably continue their education and strengthen our future workforce. Next slide. And public safety is a top priority for the county. We're ensuring swift response times and equitable access to safety and justice for all of our residents. We're increasing funding for our district attorney and public defender. We're continuing our supportive programs like the youth aid panel and investing in cutting edge technology. We're also assisting first responders in purchasing new radios for improved emergency communication. And we're fulfilling critical state laws enacted by the General Assembly, even though those mandates do not come with funding, as we talked about earlier. And finally, we're committed to improving how government works. So strengthening processes, streamlining those, strengthening accountability, and ensuring public resources are used wisely. So we will be investing in new technologies to help our elections run even more efficiently. We're also implementing key performance indicators to ensure we're working efficiently and with public accountability. And lastly, we are making Montgomery County a great place to work by supporting our dedicated workforce and setting the standard for employers across the region. Next slide. I encourage everyone to check out the budget book online, visit our website, and give us feedback on the budget. New this year, in addition to our budget hearings, the public can provide feedback from the comfort of their homes and at a time most convenient to them through our Engage Monco platform, which you will also find linked on the finance website. Your input is vital to us as we work together to build a stronger, more resilient Montgomery County. Okay, thank you, and happy to answer questions.
All right, well, first, let me just say, this has been months and months of hard work. So, you know, if you notice, like bluntly, we started this in a very different places. As Dean pointed out, we've been a $55 million deficit, double-digit tax increase, but it's because of the work of our county team, Lee Soltizek, our COO, Stephanie Tipton, our DCOO, and Dean Dortone. All the meetings that you've had have got us to a place where we have found significant savings. 15 million alone, that is not an easy thing to do. I think we started in low single digits when the conversations began, but you know, we were resourceful, creative, and really put in the work to find every way that we could possibly, you know, save. And I just want to pause there and ask everyone on the team to acknowledge them and thank them for their hard work and making this happen. So, you know, like so many families and businesses across Montgomery County, the county is, of course, witnessing the impact of inflation and rising costs. And it's important to note that the biggest cost driver for our county and most local governments and institutions is really the cost of healthcare alone. So that increased 18% over the past 2 years. And certainly people are seeing that in all different settings as it relates to healthcare. This year, our healthcare plans cost 10% more than we anticipated. And you know, that's in part due to national trends. There are also, you know, new laws that have passed in Harrisburg that required implementation that came without funding, so we're following the law, and that also increased costs. But overall, I think this is, you know, an extraordinary result and proposal where, you know, thanks to our initiative with the Office of Innovation and Strategic Performance, we've really added a level of sophistication to the budget, including how we evaluate performance, how we're transparent, and make better decisions. So one of those was renegotiating our prescription drug vendor contract to save $1.4 million, as Stephanie noted, as Dean noted, saving $500,000 by bringing legal costs internal, but bring them kind of in-house instead of outsourcing. And we've done all this work and savings so that we can actually make make the critical investments that we need to serve the county. So in public safety, we've made $7.2 million towards the purchase of new communications equipment. That's gonna go to police, fire, and EMS across the county, and as you've seen, the demands are going up on them, but, that's a conversation that police chiefs bring up, all the time in terms of a need to upgrade their communications equipment. We were finally able to do that, with this budget, and it's essentially a way that will also take off, the method we're doing it will take off the burden from localities. So it's an interest-free loan for first responders, so local police departments can get the equipment without having to pay the high costs that it would entail for them to take out a loan to purchase the same thing. So we're helping all of our municipalities in the way that we're functioning here. And I'll just point out two things before I turn it over to my colleagues, which is that I think there's also significant investment that will continue to roll into further savings and efficiencies. Some of that is in specific departments like voter services, but it's also, the Open Gov platform. And we only just began a new contract with a cost savings consultant, which is one that will help us review even further in terms of ways we can save. So I think this is really exciting. It's important that we're also making investments in parks and trails that are going to be heavily utilized next year. We already have 3 million visitors a year. It's going to be way more next year, so we're prepared on that front too. But with that, I'll turn it over to Alex.
Thank you, Commissioner Makija. I'd also like to thank our county team for all of the hard work. I know you all were here late last night, finishing the presentation, but there's incredible work, as many of you know, that goes behind the story of our budget. It not only reflects our fiscal responsibility, but also our shared values as a county. And it's focused on creating opportunities and building communities where everyone that calls Montgomery County home can thrive. For me, one of my biggest priorities coming in, and I think all of our priorities, has been housing. I believe that everyone that calls Montgomery County home should have a safe place to lay their head at night. And I'm grateful that my colleagues have shown that they also deeply care about this issue. We know that one person sleeping outside is one too many, and homelessness in particular comes in many forms. We know that many families are one paycheck away from ending up on the streets. So it's something that can truly happen to anyone in Montgomery County. So I'm so grateful to our county team for developing a comprehensive housing strategy. And this year alone, we announced the opening of 3 transitional facilities in Lansdale, Norristown, and Pottstown to provide immediate relief to those that find themselves in need. And I know that we've set aside $3.6 million in this proposed budget for those facilities, as well as other critical shelter services. But that's just one end of the continuum. We know we have so much more work to do on the housing continuum. Another big priority of mine, we know that behavioral health and mental health is a challenge that so many families face. And in our proposed budget, we have made behavioral health a continued priority in support of our residents. This budget includes funding for our emergency behavioral health center. We have announced this initiative together as a board back in the summer of 2024, and we're finally at the point where we are doing a groundbreaking on this project this coming Monday at a site in King of Prussia. And so we're investing in this project because it will serve all residents of all ages, children and adults who need crisis intervention, stabilization, and comprehensive mental health or substance use support. I know all too well that my family dealt with a 14-year journey with my brother, and we oftentimes found ourselves in our local emergency room. So now we're ensuring that families will have a place to go when they're in crisis. So grateful that we've invested in our behavioral health support network. The proposed budget also includes $2 million investment for our new Montco Main Street strategy led by our Commerce Department. I've spent a lot of time walking through our various main streets, and as you all know, there are some main streets that are thriving and others that are struggling. And I believe that this initiative will help to revitalize our main streets across Montgomery County. So these strategies include low-interest loans for businesses in our main streets and commercial corridors, data-driven market analysis to help business owners and developers identify opportunities and fill local needs, and a small business grant program that combines funding with hands-on technical support, ensuring recipients get the tools that they need and training to strengthen their operations and succeed for the long term. And then last but not least, I've always said, when I was running for office, that we're no good to anyone else if we don't invest in our own internal talent. And so I'm so grateful that we prioritize our own county workforce and making Montgomery County, as Stephanie shared, a destination place for people to work and serve. We've done several things over the last year, 2 years in office. We've raised the starting wage for county employees. We instituted a new paid parental leave, the most generous paid parental leave for the public sector in the Commonwealth. And we've negotiated with our healthcare provider to provide up to $50,000 in fertility benefits for those looking to start a family. But on top of that, in this budget, we've proposed a 3% base wage increase for all county employees. And so our talent is the lifeblood of our organization, and so we try to find ways to set the standard and ensure that our workforce is supported. So again, thank you to the team for getting us to this point, and I look forward to the feedback on the budget.
Okay, well, again, I like my colleagues, I want to thank everyone that worked on this budget to get us to this point. We started back in, I know I brought this up many times, we started all the way back in February, knowing that after we came out of last year's budget, we needed to make significant changes as we rolled into this budget season of the 2026. But I know Dean would be extremely upset if I didn't have him come up to the microphone because I have a few questions. He texted me and said, please, nobody's asking me anything. So as Dean's walking up, I do want to highlight something that Commissioner Weiners was mentioning. What people didn't quite maybe pick up on is that as the three of us, when we came in office, homelessness throughout Montgomery County was a huge problem. We know it's been talked about for several years. There's been different initiatives that have been researched, tried, talked about, whatever it may be. And we were actually committed to walking through the neighborhoods and figuring out what we could do. And we started, putting these programs in place with these transitional homes. And people ask and they want the homeless, problem resolved throughout Montgomery County, but it unfortunately comes with a cost. So, and we know that to be, we know how we want to care for these individuals. They're out there for different reasons. We've talked about this many times, but they're out there. And as a society, we need to do what we can to help these people. And that's what we did. But it comes with, we're in the millions. We're spending millions. I forget the actual number for next year. It was like 6.7 million or something like that. Overall for the transitional housing for these facilities that we mentioned. So we're very happy to see where we are because, for instance, in Pottstown, where we opened up this facility, they were seeing over 150 people on the street. And since we opened that facility up in Pottstown, the last time I was up there talking with our folks at the facility, they believed that it was down to about 15 or so people that were now on the street up in Pottstown. So we've made a tremendous movement to helping these individuals, as well as mentioned about the crisis center that we're going to be opening up. And it comes with a cost, but it's definitely as a county, these are things that I feel as county commissioners are extremely important for us to do for our communities. But with that, I want to go back to, let's talk about the $55 million deficit a bit, which was a real number, right? And we knew that we needed to do something. So you hit some, if you wanna go back to that slide, if you can, Megan.
The timeline one?
Yeah, the 50, where we say 55, right, oop, there you go. So let's talk about it a little bit, because I think this slide's important, and we kind of like flew through it. Let's talk about the 14 million in operational savings. There was a slide that mentioned a few things, but could we, spend a little bit more time on that slide and get into a little bit more detail about, what made up that 14 million in operational savings?
Yeah, so a good chunk of it, we had planned for when we were forecasting and things, right? And you would, right? When you're forecasting
Right.
early in the year, you use the best information you have to figure out what 26 is looking like. So this is just one example, right? We had anticipated that we would have to do a new money bond issue, right, to fund the capital plan that's in front of you today.
Right.
We're in a better position in terms of cash flow at this point that we will likely still have to do a bond issue, but it will probably be later in the year, which means that the debt service from it won't kick in until the following year, 27. We'll still be dealing with that expense, but, it's been delayed, right, or deferred until the future year. So we would have expected that early in the year. At this point, based on our analysis, we're not. That's a piece of it. We also think that, and, I know that the state, has just approved their budget. One of the things that was on the table was to fund the 911 fees at a higher level. I haven't studied this yet, I don't know, but I don't believe that made it through. I think, though, that we have fund balance capacity in the 911 fund that, and this isn't for good reasons, right? We had 23 vacant positions there, 911 operators, which you don't want. There was a point in time that, we were almost fully staffed, and then it dropped off again. So there's a lot of turnover there, but we typically save against the budget. So I think that we can get through 26, and, we'll know more as we, get into the first 6 months of the year without having to fully subsidize it. So that's a piece of it. It's normally, I would say, I would project that we'd have to put $2 million in there. But because of the performance and, the budgetary performance, we haven't had to do that. And then, there's other pieces to it, that, I'm happy to follow up and provide, like, if you really want to see a detailed list of everything, I can do that.
I'm just trying to, I think it's important, that, as commissioners, we have to make tough decisions, but I think it's important that people understand that, a lot of thought went into this budget as far as, reducing expenses, especially as we see the growing less revenues, but growing expenses that are outside of our control as far as healthcare, expenses that we're seeing a roughly 9% increase in our healthcare costs. So these are all real numbers that are growing, and I know I mentioned that one of the meetings that our organic growth per year, what I call organic growth per year, is about 4%. Just in expenses that grow beyond, if we do nothing, this is what these expenses throughout the county are growing. So when you talk about the 12.2 million in the restricted fund balance, you want to just mention what that is?
Yeah, so, I mean, we have expenses that, are embedded into the budget. Some of the shelter costs, right, that we just talked about. They're partially funded through various sources, and then, there's gonna be other one-time funding sources that we have available to us for 26 to cover the remainder. I think the good news is that we do have other funding sources, but that said, we'll have to deal with it in 27, and maybe there'll be other funding sources that, be able to, be utilized for it then, the 6.7 million that you were referring to, right? But at the moment, we know what we have from the state, what's anticipated for 26, what's committed, but there will be, a piece of that that's gonna have to be funded, by, one-time funding that we have available.
And then, the 2.9 unrestricted.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's basically, you know, trying to get to the net of how, you know, we're gonna balance the budget. So unrestricted, it's just using, you know, whatever fund balance, the unassigned primarily, right? That's the
Right.
unrestricted. And, you know, the revenue performance is the thing I was talking about. There's some of the revenues, like the gaming revenue is higher than what we expected. It continues to trend up. And investment income did better in '25 than we would have anticipated because of what the Fed's, you know, the slowing of, you know, increasing rates. But that's, you know, that's a pressure point in the future. We built in some assumptions to the '26 budget that the Feds are gonna reduce rates. But who knows where to land? So that becomes a little bit of a gap that has to be covered, you know, with the investment income being projected at a lower amount for '26.
And then we made operational cuts this year
Yeah.
that equated to a couple $1 million that
Yeah, it's
roll into
interesting.
next year's as
Yeah,
well.
we rebased a lot of the departmental budgets where we can. I mean, it's not, you know, discretionary spending, there's not a lot of it, but good examples of it are like training and, you know, things like that, supplies, materials. In those line items across the organization, budget to budget, we have reductions that were mostly coming out of the, you know, cost containment initiatives that we did earlier in the year and are now embedded into the budget.
So, I mean, it's safe to say then, I can't comment on prior boards and prior decisions that were made from a budget standpoint, but I know for this year, going to '26, this budget, I mean, I'm trying to get across that as the commissioners, we want to be able to demonstrate that we've made tremendous modifications to the process, made a lot of changes, we made a lot of reductions. I mean, we did a lot to get to where we are today that we just didn't accept that there's a number that we're going to throw out there and increase taxes, and that's that. I mean, we've gotten to a really strong point, and, you know, that we still have to cover this growth, but
Well, and, you know, not to interrupt you, but just to stay on this, I would caution the board too, that we've made a lot of cuts, right? And now, in this budget, we've embedded a $4 million negative appropriation. So we're saying we're gonna save $4 million more against the '26 budget. It's a negative appropriation that is normal, you know, in any government entity budget, right? A lot of it comes from, you know, turnover, vacancy, things
Right.
like that. But it's the combination of, you know, better revenue performance and savings, right? That, you know, we don't expect coming into a budget year that we're gonna spend the budget. We expect that we're gonna save against the budget.
Right.
But this will be more challenging because of the cuts that have already been made.
yes, and it's also going to be challenging as we go into '27, but there's things that we needed to do. I mean, we needed to do as a county, but also when you look at that dollar bill that was put up there, 12 cents out of every dollar that individuals are paying in property taxes only is coming to the county. And where our school districts are putting majority of the burden on property taxes out there. And I'm not questioning what they're doing. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that it's important for people to understand that, you know, 12 cents out of every dollar that they pay property tax, that's what's coming to the county.
I mean, look, the school districts, that's a micro focus, right? That's their community, that the boards that represent them, they have initiatives. This is more global, right? We're
Right.
representing a large amount of municipalities.
Right, again, I'm not
Can I,
questioning what the school districts are doing, I'm not saying that at all, I'm just
No,
saying that it's important that, that we're showing that overall, that we're probably the smallest piece of the, you know, property taxes that we all pay, each year, so.
Yeah,
All right, well, thank you.
That's it.
yeah, that's not even counting federal and state. One question I have for you is, you might not have this offhand, but for the Emergency Behavioral Health Center, can you walk through the funds for that? We're gonna announce it in a few
So,
days, but,
the bulk of that expense in '26 is gonna be coming, out of the managed care fund.
Yeah.
Choices Fund, so that is programmed into that budget that's being proposed.
Mhm.
Again, in the future, there'll be some component that will roll into operating eventually, but yeah, that's in the budget proposal.
But we were also able to get a number of other sources for that funding, correct?
Yeah,
There's also
Yeah, you can
a $6 million state grant that is part of the startup cost, in addition to the funds that Dean's talking about, and also a portion of his opioid funding.
Yeah, so that was one of the points I just wanted to make, which is that we're making this happen, and that was another area where we got a lot of, we had a lot of creativity and resourcefulness in terms of finding different ways to make it fun, to get it funded.
Where we haven't been able to be creative is getting the Justice Center done. But we know that our overruns related to timelines, we're keeping track of all that, and we will be going to recoup that money as well. It's not that we're turning a blind eye to it, but there's a process, and we have to go through it, and unfortunately, we can't just stop. So we gotta work through it, but we'll get there.
All right, any other questions?
well, thank you, we
Okay.
appreciate your time.
Thank you again. That was very thorough, and I think really is an example of what good government looks like, so thank you for your work. All right, so we're gonna move on to resolutions. And I'll, oh, right, we gotta advertise the bids, so I'll ask for a motion. Is there a motion that the proposed budget for Montgomery County fiscal year 2026 be posted to the county's website and shall be made available through print copy and inspection for review by the public?
I'll second that. Oh, so moved, so moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes, so budget will be posted. We'll have the two hearings later this month, and then final vote after that in the subsequent meeting. December 4th. December 4th is the two hearings? Got it. There'll be one in the morning, one in the evening. Thanks. All right, so with that, we'll move on to resolutions. I'll ask Jasmine Leatherberry from our grants office to present 3 resolutions.
Good morning. Today I am requesting resolutions and/or a commitment of match for several grants, 4 specifically. One being the Norristown Public Library. We are requesting a $750,000 match. In addition to, we're applying for $750,000, so it's like a 50% match. And this will support the ADA compliance and HVAC system for the for the Norristown Public Library. In addition to that, we are currently applying for 3 LSA grants from DCED. The first LSA grant is for the coroner's office, which we're seeking $66,000 to construct a mausoleum. This will allow the county to respectfully and properly manage access remains. A board resolution is required for us to apply, but there is a 0 match, so we're not requesting any commitments or funds, just we need a resolution to apply. Similarly, the second LSA request, no match is required, just need a resolution for the Planning Commission, which we're seeking $1 million from DCED for the construction of a one-half mile segment of the Valley Forge Connector Trail in Upper Marion Township. Again, there's no match requirement, and the full trail will eventually span approximately 3 miles, connecting the Schuylkill River Trail to Chester Valley Trail. It will support economic development and provide a key regional link through the King of Prussia district. And then lastly, we are requesting a resolution for the LSA grant, again, for the Norristown Library. We're requesting $267,000 from DCED, and this will support the purchase of 3 box trucks for the community. Some of the things that we plan to do with these box trucks are provide outreach. It will support expanded services through partnerships with middle school, increased engagement with senior centers, pop-up library events in remote areas, and several other things. So those are the resolutions we need, and then, of course, the match for the Keystone Grant.
Great, thank you. Any questions? All right, so I'll ask, is there a motion to approve resolutions 1 through 3 as described by Ms. Jasmine Leatherberry?
Mr. Chairman,
1 through
4.
1 through 4, as described by Ms. Jasmine Leatherberry.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder, seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolutions are approved. So, that means Bill is now coming up? Is that what happened?
Pardon?
Bill is the 4th resolution.
No, she covered it.
She
That's what I'm saying, so he's now coming up. Got it. Okay, moving on to, point 5, Jesse King, join us, discuss a lease agreement.
Good morning, board members. Before you this morning is a resolution providing authorization for the county to enter a lease agreement with 3147 Easton Road LLC to provide county office space for county employees displaced during the renovation of the Willow Grove Annex project. The property is located at 3147 Easton Road in Willow Grove. It should be noted that this is in very close proximity to the existing building. It's actually right next door and shares some of the parking facilities. The facility will provide for approximately 5,445 square feet of office space split between 2 different suites. It will provide for operations for adult probation, prothonotary, community connections, and a limited capacity for JPO. It's also very noteworthy that we were able to locate a facility that has a classroom that would be appropriate for our DUI classroom operations. That is a big revenue builder for the county. In 2019, I just checked the numbers, that program brought in approximately $500,000 in revenue to the county. So it was important for this department to keep that operation moving during the time of construction. We are looking to enter a 3-year agreement with a total rental cost of approximately $304,000. I respectfully recommend the board approve this resolution authorizing the proper county officials to execute the necessary documents to enter this lease agreement, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Thank you.
Any questions? It was about $300,000 over 3 years,
Correct.
about 100 some
Yep.
a year.
Yes, sir.
Gosh, okay. I have one question. So I think you mentioned that it's about 75 people, is that right?
It's,
Who work there?
we, in the original programming, it was parking spaces for approximately 72 people that were to be displaced during this. The swing space will not cover all of those employees. There are some employees that will be pulled back into Norristown in various offices. The new building will support anywhere from 70 to 78 county employees.
Okay, got it. And Dean, what was the number for the debt service for 12 million?
The additional debt service,
Yeah.
3.5 million budget.
Well, per year, what's the number
Just on the 12.
on the 12 million for Willow Grove?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For every million, how much debt service is 70,000?
Okay. Got it. All right, so it's less than the rent by 30,000, you know what I'm saying? Got it. Any questions? Anybody? All right, is there a motion to approve resolution number 5 as described by Jesse King, Director of Assets and Infrastructure?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner DeBello, any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
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 The motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to point 6, Commissioner's reappointment to the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority. Is there a motion to approve appointment as described in resolution G7?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello, any board comment?
Do we know who this is? I didn't see a resume.
I know, we should check it out.
Huh?
I can't pronounce it, do you not pronounce
I
that?
can't pronounce, I'll go on faith, I'll go on faith.
Seems okay,
He's okay?
seems all right.
He's all right, yeah.
Maybe he'll save trains from catching on fire, so.
Oh, there you go.
And you're talking about me, anyway. Any, in case anyone hasn't figured that out. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. Thank you to my colleagues who represent us well. Moving on to section 7, Commissioners' appointments to the Board of Managers for the Youth Center. Is there a motion to approve appointments as described in Resolution G8?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The appointments are approved. Moving on to the personnel list, Mr. Tony Brew will present.
Morning, Commissioners. You have in front of you the final copy of the Commissioner Department's personnel list. It is a 4-page document dated November 12, 2025, with a timetable of 9:45 a.m. All positions have been reviewed and accounted for your consideration.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve the November 13th, 2025 personnel presentation as given by Mr. Tony Brew?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner DeBello. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Moving on to bids and RFPs. Is there a motion to approve the advertisement of bids and RFPs for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit A?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner DeBello. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Winder. Any board comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The advertisements are approved. Moving on to awards of contract, is there a motion to approve the contract awards, amendments, and renewals for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit B?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comments?
The only comment I'm gonna make is I'm not really comfortable about the 400,000 for the hydro dam, but I'm really excited to see what comes back. So this is, my support of this is dwindling, even more and more, but I'm not necessarily buying into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, look, we'll see, this is the first, and we have the RFP for the private sector partner that we just approved, and we'll get an assessment, you know. Nice to make some clean energy, and, don't you want to see Lee plug it in every day?
Well, that's the highlight of the whole project, is Lee running an extension cord for Lee,
Yeah.
job security.
I'm very excited about this project, and as it is, the dam's already built, right? We have a dam, we just need to, fix, add the turbines essentially to generate electricity. So, we'll stay closely tuned to how it's developing and how the technology is changing, and, updates to come. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The contracts are approved. Moving on to advertisement of bids and RFPs for the Southeastern PA Task Force. Is there a motion to approve the advertisement of bids and RFPs as described on attached Exhibit C?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comments? I'm sorry, seconded by Commissioner Winder, please. Any board comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The advertisements of bids and RFPs for the task force are approved. Moving on to contracts. Is there a motion to approve the contract awards, amendments, and renewals for Southeast PA Regional Task Force on attached Exhibit D? Moved by Commissioner DeBello. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any more comment? All in favor? Aye. The awards of contract are approved. Moving on to general public comment.
Steve, Heath? Steve?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Stephen Heath, and I'm a long-term resident of Cheltenham Township. It's a diverse community whose leadership recently voted to adopt one of the most robust, welcoming immigration resolutions in the county. I thank the Board of Supervisors and the Chief of Police for their commitment, and today I want to thank you for your commitment to immigration rights. Thank you for refusing the 287. Thank you for your Immigrant Resource Center, which assists our documented and undocumented immigrant population. Thank you for limiting cooperation with immigration and customs enforcement to what is required by law. I am a recently retired MOPEC certified police professional. When I retired in 2023, I was head of criminal investigations for Suburban Police Department, and I was the commanding officer of SWAT negotiators for a regional SWAT team. In 1979, I graduated from the Philadelphia Police Academy. Yes, I am old. I spent 10 years as an urban police officer, and then I transitioned to a suburban police department. In both jurisdictions, I witnessed firsthand how immigrant populations lived in the shadows. Both documented and undocumented residents feared police and the government. Crime victims would not come forward to officially report crime out of fear. Most of those folks were hardworking members of our community. Police spent years building trust with our immigrant population to allow them to live out of the shadows without fear of the police or government. All that work is being decimated by the indiscriminate removal operations committed by ICE. Even those who wish to use legal process are fearful of appearing in immigration court. The tactics used by ICE are hard-handed use of force for what in most cases is a civil violation. Let that sit for a while, a civil violation and not a criminal violation. Even if a person arrested is a criminal, there is a process for arrest, adjudication, and removal, if appropriate. When ICE moves on, local police and jurisdictions are left with the damage that's done. ICE is not the local police, but the locals are placed under the umbrella of law enforcement. Communities are not left safe. Our police are not safer because of the increased mistrust. Local police are accountable to local jurisdictions. ICE is accountable to the federal government, and when they leave, they have little care about the damage that they leave. Years of building our immigrant population and taking them out of the darkness are being destroyed because of fear, distrust.
Thank you for your,
Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for what you've done so far.
thank you for your comments, and I'll just say it's heartening to me to hear from members of the law enforcement community to speak on the importance of protecting immigrants who, we just had an incident in Norristown we were talking about, and man, undocumented or not, was murdered, right? Or all indications would appear to be that that's what happened, and not enough people talk about the fact that immigrants are more likely to be victims of crime, right? And I actually have spoken to a number of police chiefs who have wanted to make clear that they're here to protect communities, to work with communities, and they've made exactly the point you do, which is that trust has been built over time, and now we're finding it difficult for people to want to work with law enforcement to provide information on crimes that are being committed because they're afraid of what could happen. So this is an important issue. I know Nellie, the Director of Immigrant Affairs, is working closely with law enforcement partners to help them, to work with the community, to ensure we can keep the public safe on all different fronts, and having that trust is essential. So thank you for sharing, and, you know, you know, I'm glad you're able to share that with all of us. And you should actually, I don't know if you've met Nellie before, but it'd be helpful to.
Thank you for what you've done so
Thank you.
far.
Giuseppe Bucci?
Yeah, I'm Giuseppe Bucci. I have no comment.
Okay. Moving on, Jim Donald?
Yes, no comment.
Joe, Salas? Joe? No? Okay. Denise?
Good morning. I'm Denise Schmidt, and I live in Limerick Township. And I am here because I am concerned and fearful of ICE's continued presence here in Montgomery County. It alarms me that they're near schools and public areas where families and children are. And I want to urge the commissioners to adopt a welcoming policy. I don't want local resources used to support ICE any more than legally necessary. And I'd like to thank you for your work you do for our community.
Ed Moy?
Good morning, hello, thanks for having me. Ed Moy, West Norriton. I'm from West Norriton, Pennsylvania. I'd just like to say, first of all, thank you, Commissioner DeBella, for acknowledging the veterans, of which I am one. When I joined the military, I was too young to be drafted into Vietnam, but I joined very soon afterwards, and we still were not welcome. We still didn't feel welcome when we came home. That being said, I want to start with a quote from Ronald Reagan. Everyone knows who Ronald Reagan is. He says, "Some people live an entire lifetime and wonder if they've ever made a difference in the world." And the veteran doesn't have that problem. And also, a quote from a major brilliant person from one of our think tanks. I think he went to Stanford University, Charles Barkley. Just kidding, Charles went to Auburn University. But he says, police, fire, teachers, and military, everyone else's jobs is easy. That's what he said. Now, sir, I appreciate all your comments, sir, but I beg to differ. I'm a 25-year veteran of the Pennsylvania State Police, and I have a different take on it. I believe that, well, once you cross into our country legally, the code is, the crime is US 1325, I believe. And that is not a civil violation. And if our local communities, or our local governments would assist ICE and adhere to the detainers that are placed, that are asked for, that are placed on these individuals, whom 70% already have criminal violations on them, have already committed crimes, then a lot of violence that is happening out in the streets would not be happening. That being said, again, a list of the injuries or the attacks on ICE agents. There was another recent one where they were boxed in with vehicles. One ICE caravan was boxed in vehicles. There's an app out there now to dox ICE agents as to where they are. They're trying to say that they want to warn these individuals that ICE may be coming for to get out of the area. But any gang member or anyone who wanted to do harm to an ICE agent can easily use that to ambush them, which has already happened, as we know, already happened down in Texas. Speaking of assaults, pedophile and criminal illegal alien assaults ICE agent during arrest. I just want to say this before I leave. Any nation who treats our security apparatus the way that we do cannot survive, and it won't. And that's my professional opinion. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Just for more, if there's more comments on this related topic, please try to keep it related to county business is what I'll ask for everyone else. Go ahead.
Andy Ludizio?
Hello, thank you for the chance to speak today. I want to thank you for what you guys are doing as commissioners, and I also want to thank you for being the leaders of the county as commissioners. I know in the past we've had conversations, between attendees, email conversations of, commissioners can only do, county commissioners can only do so much, and we should be in touch with our local boroughs, townships, law enforcement. And I just want to mention that when we're in these meetings, they're always asking, what are the Montco commissioners doing? Are they making a public statement? Are they, making, not a public statement, but are they making deals that are more quiet? Because they're looking to you guys as the leaders that you are. The same with like Bucks and Chester County. I have friends that live there and they're trying to pass similar welcoming initiatives, and they're looking here as well. So I just want to affirm, the leaders that you guys are. And I also want to say that this question of welcoming policy or immigration is not pitting immigrants versus law enforcement or the public. Oh, I thought I touched something. I'm so sorry. The public versus law enforcement. The issue right now is that ICE agents are out where school children are. Last week, maybe 2 weeks ago now, there was a detention in front of school children, high school and middle school children. This man was thrown to the ground. There's incidents where ICE is about to pepper spray somebody and they see somebody filming and decide to stop doing that. So there's a lot of issues going on right now, including the increased presence of assault rifles on our streets with ICE officers, ATF, and I know some of these, if there's a warrant, marshals and ATF can come, but I just really want to highlight the public safety aspect of this because a lot of these incidents or ICE detentions are happening between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. and that's when kids are on the streets. They're walking to school, crossing guards are seeing these kinds of things. So I really want to encourage a welcoming policy or some sort of policy that says, hey, law enforcement, don't cooperate with ICE, because if we have law enforcement that are out here taking charge of the community safety, people are gonna feel a lot better, immigrants, non-immigrants, documented, undocumented, reaching out to public officials and helping keep our communities safe. So again, I wanna affirm that I'm not I'm not trying to be against any form of police or community safety, but I really want us to think about what kind of community safety we have right now. I thank you for everything that you're doing. I thank you for your leadership and for your time.
Thank you.
Juanita Arube?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Juanita. I live in East Norriton, and I'm here to speak in strong support of a welcoming resolution in Montgomery County. Montgomery County is the place that I found my community, but what is happening in our county these past months, almost a year now, is something that no community should accept. Right here in our neighborhoods, ICE officers have entrapped people in their cars at 6 in the morning on their way to work. They have pulled people from their yards while doing yard work, and they take people just trying to take care of their families. Every morning I ride the train to work. I'm a behavioral health nurse, so I'm really looking forward to the behavioral health initiatives that are happening here in Montgomery County, so thank you for that. But on the train to work are Latino men heading to their jobs, men who wake up before the sun rises to provide for their families. But when ICE began ramping up its presence, something changed. The men who once stood tall on that platform began to hide. At first, they took shelter under the canopy at the train station, afraid that officers might appear out of nowhere. Then, as enforcement grew more aggressive, they began hiding behind the trees in the back lot, terrified to even be seen. And now they don't even come at all. That image of empty spaces where hardworking men once stood has stayed with me because that fear doesn't just remove people from trains. It removes them from communities, from families, and from futures. Children in our county have watched masked men break the windows of trucks at 7 a.m., drag people out, and leave shattered glass on the sidewalks next to their homes. Parents have had to explain to their kids why men in masks and casual clothing are taking people away in unmarked cars. They tackle our community members in the front yards of strangers' homes. This is not keeping a community safe. This is trauma. This is fear. This is racial profiling happening right in front of us, and it should be unacceptable to every single one of us. The issue is not that immigration is being enforced. Immigration laws have always been being enforced. It is the manner in which that they are being enforced. And while I completely understand that you cannot control the federal government, you can decide how Montgomery County responds to it. You can choose whether this county stands for fear or for dignity. A welcoming resolution is not just symbolic, it's a statement of values. It tells our immigrant neighbors that they belong here and deserve safety here, and that we honor their place in our community. Commissioners, I'm asking you to take a stand and to draw a line and say that what is happening in our streets weekly, heavily armed masked agents who do not identify themselves, racial profile, come in unmarked cars, and families torn apart is not who we are. And to pass a welcoming resolution that makes Montgomery County a place where immigrants can live, work, and raise their families without living in fear. Because everybody deserves to feel like they belong somewhere. For me, that place has been Montgomery County. Let's make sure it stays that way for all of us. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
David Morgan.
David Morgan from Ambler, and I'm commenting about the American Delivery Night. I have some takeaways from that experience. I'm glad that Commissioner Winder could have it happen, and also Commissioner Machika could attend. I'm not sure your schedule, Commissioner DeBello, but I found it very joyful and heartwarming, these births, and it was just good to know the positive things which were mentioned, like midwife help, as mentioned in Africa. It's very good to see, and consider midwives and doulas, as our county has a Montgomery program. I wish that could have been even more highlighted, but Montgomery was mentioned at the very end, Maternity Care Coalition, and so I think that's great, and the father's involvement. The fathers were really supportive during this time. The things I think that we could have our health department maybe give assistance is evaluating hospitals, because Penn Medicine's expert was saying that in New York City, some hospitals are not helpful in the woman's complete maternity care. So how that's done, I'm sure Penn Medicine would be our resource on that, I presume. And then also blood pressure cuffs for women discharged, that could be offered to women, so that the county helps assist in that very life-saving sometimes measure. So then, so those were really good takeaways to see from that film, really well done. The other things that were maybe not mentioned were prenatal diet, vitamins, and exercise, because we have sometimes sedentary lives today, so to keep everyone ready for activity like birth. To mention, as Mr. Commissioner DeBello said, Adoption Day, consider adoption as part of birth. There are a lot of people who like to adopt a child. Parent and infant resource guide, also that we have in our county, which I've mentioned before, last couple of meetings or so, is great resource mentioning pregnancy resource centers so women can get help. If they know they have financial and emotional support, it helps them have their child. So that's great. I think that also the concern I had was the film had a little bit about the kindness in terms of the abortion. About 45 seconds was showing a Capitol building about abortion measures, and I find abortion for our youngest humans a concern. So I'm concerned about also what happened with the election, because I have received from Planned Parenthood this postcard, and I also read that there's funding from Planned Parenthood for backing the Democratic candidates. But if you're someone who's independent or Republican and you give your tax money almost $800 million, up to $800 million in the Planned Parenthood annual report, that's for 402,230 abortion services last year. So for the youngest humans, for kindness, for our judges, that they have kindness, our commissioners consider these valuable lives, because the only Planned Parenthood adoption referrals were 2,000. The only prenatal care services were 7,000 compared to 402,000. I'd like to just encourage our kindness and help with our future as our children, and the youngest ones before birth. Great to see the ones making it across the finish line, but the ones before the finish line, good and kindness. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Okay, we're moving on to Zoom. Michelle Gardo, I'm sorry.
And if you can just say your name and municipality, that would be helpful.
Michelle, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me okay? Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Ingarto from Lower Salford Township. I've been reviewing the preliminary election results, and a funny thing happened. Between 11/7 and today, the mail-in ballot numbers for Democrats are only moving upward. 0 changes for Republicans and no at-poll corrections, just additional mail-in ballots being added to already bloated Democrat tallies. There are some facts about this election in Montco that should raise eyebrows. There's a clear pattern of Republicans winning local races at the polls by comfortable margins, only to have an avalanche of Democrat mail-in ballots flip the results. This is especially suspicious in areas where Republicans have significant registered voter advantage. Here are 3 examples. In Soderson School District, Republicans have 5,135 more registered voters. At the poll, Republicans had a 28% or 1,567 vote lead. Democrats got 1,994 more mail-in ballots, or 1.8 times the Republicans. 36% of all Democrat ballots were by mail, and only 14% of Republican ballots were by mail. Democrats either had to have a 78% turnout or 92.5% of all other registered voters going for Dems to achieve the result. 4 Republican school board seats were flipped to Democrat, including the president and the vice president. In Skippack for township supervisor, Republicans have 711 more registered voters. At the poll, the Republicans had 20% lead, or 282 votes. Democrats got 664 more mail-in ballots, or 1.4x the amount Republicans did. 44% of all Democrat ballots were by mail, while 22% of Republican ballots were by mail. 55% turnout was reported. Democrats either had an 80% turnout or 96% of all other registered voters for Democrats. 2 Republican township supervisors lost their seats, including the chairman. And third, in Upper Perkiomen school board race, Republicans have 2,762 more registered voters than Democrats. And at the poll, Republicans had a 28% lead, or 1,567 votes. But Democrats got 1,994 more mail-in ballots, or 1.8x the amount the Republicans did. At the reported 45% turnout, Democrats would have 2,224 votes, but they actually got 3,442. That suggests either they had a 70% turnout or they got nearly all the other voters, plus some Republicans. Democrats only won by a 6% margin, or 206 votes. I recognize that these results are not impossible, but there's a consistent pattern of Democrats winning local races through a disproportionate number of mail-in ballots, and the continued increasing numbers of mail-in ballot results for Democrats even 8 days after the election, with no gains for Republicans, is highly suspicious. Thank you.
I'll just take that briefly. One, I'll just say it is absolutely eyebrow raising, and you are not wrong. And the turnout was extraordinary, and we're very proud of that because people voted. In Montgomery County, 50% of people turned out. It's never happened before. There was also historic turnout in Bucks and Delco and Philly, different numbers, but ours especially, I think we shot to the top of the list in terms of turnout. Sometimes it used to be Chester, and this time it was Montgomery County. So very eyebrow raising, I think in a good way. In terms of the reason why maybe Republicans are not voting by mail, it could be because the president tells them not to. That would be my theory. I don't know if there's any other factors at play. But if you want to come see the audit results, we do 2 audits after every election. We make sure there's no discrepancies or fraud, and there's a recount. All the mail-ins are barcoded, and we track and make sure we receive only mail that we sent out. And of course, at the end of every election, everyone who voted is made public, and there's a record, so you can make sure there's no people who were counted who didn't vote. But absolutely eyebrow raising, so I agree with you.
Next up, Ed Ingarto. Ed, can you hear us? Ed, we need you to unmute. Okay, we're gonna move on then, to Flora Jasmine Danny.
I've unmuted. I think
Okay,
we're in
sorry,
good shape
okay.
now.
We can hear you.
On September 25th this year at the Montco Commissioners meeting, Commissioner McKeeja said that, quote, "Police chiefs don't want to be associated with what ICE is doing because immigrants no longer want to report crime, and that municipalities all across the country are making it clear that they're not participating in the actions that this administration is engaging in," end quote. And I'd like to just offer that there is some evidence to the contrary. Bucks County Sheriff Fred Haran signed the now famous 287G agreement, committing his resources to cooperate with ICE. Bucks County commissioners attempted to block the sheriff from cooperating, and on October 14th, Judge Jeffrey Trauger, hope I pronounced that right, ruled that this cooperation was, quote, lawful, reasonable, and necessary to protect citizens and residents, unquote. This ruling should set a precedent for all Pennsylvania counties, especially since it was ruled not just lawful and reasonable, but actually necessary. Sheriff Haran not only did what was legal and necessary, but also what was right. He stood up and offered his cooperation with another law enforcement agency to protect citizens and legal residents of his county. Those who elected him are happy and proud that he is doing so. While I understand our commissioners' concern for possible harm due to possible future injustices, I chose that language intentionally. That was the language of the actual motion that was filed. This kind of speculation does not guarantee rights will be trampled. An aggrieved party may always take his real, tangible evidentiary grievance to a court through the normal process. Our commissioners should not discourage sheriffs and the police force from doing a good job enforcing the law and protecting citizens from criminals. I hope that this ruling encourages our sheriff and our chiefs of police in Montco to enhance their cooperation with federal law enforcement. An elected sheriff's authority comes from the voters, and the sheriffs are accountable directly to the citizens and the law, not the county commissioners. It is important for Montco citizens to speak up and demand that law enforcement prioritize the safety of our communities over the political views that cloud judgment. Thank you.
Sure, I'll just say one thing briefly, which is, of course, the footnote of that is that the sheriff is no longer in office, and that issue was heavily litigated in his election, and he may need to go find a job with ICE, so perhaps he'll go work with them. But in terms of the legal issue that you're speaking of, I never actually said that there's no legal authority to work with ICE. People can work with ICE, but they also cannot be coerced into working with ICE. So localities have the option to do what's best for our residents. Well, the dispute in Bucks was also whether the sheriff had the independent authority without the backing of the commissioners, who are typically, we're the ones who sign agreements with third parties, even if those agreements relate to our row officers. So it's a slightly different issue, but I'll just say that there's no chance our sheriff is going to sign a 287G, and we've made our opinion clear on that.
The last person is Flora Jasmine Danny on Zoom.
Thank you. Am also definitely in support of the welcoming ordinance to be passed, but today I actually would like to talk about something that I'm not sure if has been addressed here before. I wasn't sure if Montco has ever considered doing some kind of non-emergency service system similar to like the Philly 311. Recently, I was in a situation where I had to ask for help, but was not able to, but it wasn't something that was to the extent that I would normally call the police for. And when I looked at, so I did end up calling 911. I reported what I saw. But when I ended up looking later on the Montco website to try to figure out what the non-emergency numbers are, it was a bit confusing. And I just think that having something like that in Montco would be really beneficial, because if we do want to have our law enforcement be focused on actual crimes instead of anything that could possibly require assistance, I think that would be something that we really would all benefit from. So I really would like to ask if that's something that the commissioners have ever discussed, or if it's something that it's in the works that I maybe don't know about, that I didn't find on the website. I would like some feedback on that, because I do think it is really important.
Sure, so I believe this is in the works. If anyone wants to speak to Lee, do you want to add anything to this?
No, we'll follow up.
We'll follow up with you. But no, you make a very good
I would really appreciate that. Yeah, I know that in Philly, it reduced the amount of calls that were being directed directly to the police stations. And I know that it really did build like a sense of trust and comfort for Philadelphians because they knew that they had somewhere else to turn to aside from just police, especially given like all the, let's say different opinions regarding, police conduct and everything. But since 2008, it really, it has really made a big difference in Philadelphia.
And this is, I missed a little bit of what you're saying. This is like 311 or not 311 or the other.
No, there have been, over the years, non-emergency numbers for calls that might otherwise go to 911.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that there was a whole list of them, but they like differ by like different sections of Montco. So I was thinking that it might be good to have something that's a little bit more streamlined.
Yeah. Okay, we'll follow up with you, but we're thoroughly looking at how we can optimize both in our 911 center so that they can very efficiently, sort and address things in priority, but also issues like the ones you're raising. So thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
All right, so that is all of our public comments for today. Thank you, everyone, for weighing in, and thank you to our team on the budget. I'll just reiterate, really great job across the board. Very proud of where we've landed, especially considering where we began the year and the forecast. And I'll turn it over to my colleagues for any closing comments. Jim?
I'm good.
Good? Got anything? All right, so next time we'll be here Thursday, December 4th, 10 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. in the boardroom. And then we'll also be back Thursday, December 18th at 10 a.m. in the boardroom. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And is there a motion to adjourn the November 13th, 2025 meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners? Moved by Commissioner DeBello. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment? All in favor? Aye. So the meeting is adjourned. We'll briefly have a salary board meeting. Our controller, Bob Hart, will join us. Okay, any public comment on salary board?
David Morgan.
Briefly, David Morgan of Ambler. I'd just like to mention that during the financial report, elimination of positions was mentioned, and that I was just encouraging the commissioners to consider merging positions to save on costs, because we often have seen the list of new positions which might be over budget, as in the beginning of the year, many of them. I've shown you that list. So perhaps with retirements, that merging can happen, because Bucks County has been looking to that in some of the statements in the press. Thank you. Have a nice Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Great, so we're going to the salary board. Tony Drew.
Good afternoon, members of the salary board. You should have in front of you the final copy of the salary board list. There's a 5-page document dated November 12, 2025, with a timestamp of 9:45 a.m. All positions have been reviewed and accounted for your consideration.
Is there a motion to approve the November 13, 2025 salary board presentation as presented by Mr. Tony Brew, Chief Human Resources Officer?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Controller Hart. Any board comment? Anything? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn the November 13, 2025 meeting of the Montgomery County Salary Board?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye. The meeting is adjourned.
You want it to stay longer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
We're
yeah.
going in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I will time it.
It's like
Okay, because then I gotta go.
Yeah.